The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Get 50% off your Shady Rays using the promo code SGPN. Then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. Welcome everybody to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne, northeast of England. Today is Friday, May the 19th, and we are here for our usual little turbo episode with a few picks for Saturday the 20th, and we're going to have a little look at the AL West this afternoon. Make some maybe futures picks, who we fancy at the prices, who we don't fancy, which teams are going well and why, etc. Joining me for our Friday night shenanigans is number 77, Mr. Noah Bieniek. Noah, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Malcolm. How about yourself?
I am okay, mate. I am feeling a lot better.
That's good.
You will never guess where I've been tonight, Noah.
I think you told me, but I forget.
More specifically, then, within those parameters, Noah, I told you I was going to baseball practice. No.
Yeah, you told me baseball practice. I'm going to say like tryouts or something, because I know you got drafted already, but I don't know where you are in this process of starting to play for the team yet.
I have been on the mound tonight, Noah.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Check out the big arm. We were there was because it was a nice day, and you get so very few nice days. Okay. Someone posted in the little team chat this afternoon, she'll be going have a game of catch tonight at 6 p.m. Maybe do some batting practice, etc. So we did, and I went and joined in. And then the coach said, "Have you ever pitched?" I was like, "Fuck off! It's too far. I've tried. It's too far." He said, "No, you look like you can throw a common pitch." So after, I got on the mound a bit. There's no way I'm going to be able to pick this arm this high tomorrow. This arm will not go above shoulder high tomorrow. But I quite enjoyed myself.
My best friend was ice. It's just ice.
Yeah.
Get an ice pack.
Well, I'm used to the feeling when you have your first cricket net of the summer, and I've done this for 40 years, the next day you can't move your arm. So I've got that feeling tomorrow, but obviously I'm now a 47-year-old man as well. But I mean, the rumour has it, Noah, I was touching 50. So throwing a bit of high heat there, a little bit of tail on me curveball, but I did enjoy it. I don't think I could do it with everybody stood around watching.
How do you grip your curveball, by the way?
Right. So what I did tonight was I had my two-seamer going.
Okay.
So I had my two-seamer, and I was just going 12-6. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my curve, I can't really remember. The coach was kind of showing me, but he showed me. I didn't want to do too much too soon,
Yeah. The curveball that I used my whole life, and it was my best pitch. So you just put your. I mean, if you're not watching on YouTube, I definitely.
Yeah, this is great. Great audio. This.
So right on the horseshoe of the baseball here, I dig like my fingernail into the seam. And you have your middle finger. You can also grip it with two fingers, your middle finger and your ring finger on the outside of the ball. And you throw it like a fastball. But the two fingers on the side, the pressure there creates the side spin.
Yeah.
You can throw it different ways. So you can throw it just like a fastball with no wrist movement at all. And it's more like a 1 to 9 movement on your curveball. But if you want to just pronate the wrist a little bit, it actually turns into more of a slider, and it's 2 to 9 in a sense. So yeah, that was my pitch, and it's so easy to throw and easy to master. It takes maybe like a couple of times on the mound working it, but that's the trick right there.
You mentioned the draft earlier on. The season actually started 2 weeks ago, but because Newcastle have had several back-to-back home games, I haven't been able to get to baseball. And this was funny today. I couldn't actually remember which team had drafted me. So, I know, yeah. So I went along tonight and I had to try and I was like on a secret mission to find out what team I was on without them knowing because I didn't want to seem disinterested. Because you can't just turn up and say, hey, which team am I on again? Because it's obvious that I'm not really very interested. So I kind of had to sneak it out to somebody. I was like, you haven't got the roster lists for Sunday, have you? Frantically trying to find my own name. So I knew which team I'm on.
So yeah, if you ever try out that pitch and they ask you what in the world you're throwing, it's a knuckle curve.
A knuckle curve, okay.
Yeah.
Smashing. Yeah, I did enjoy that. It was good fun. Anyway, what better way to spend a Friday night in the sunshine with a couple of hours out on the diamond. Captain Insano is going to have to pay a $1 fine for incorrectness and buffoonery because he's trying to fine us for soccer talk, and this is not soccer talk. He's joined late and he's gone off. He's got off in his hand there. So look, Insano, get your wallet out. That's a pound in the fine jar. I've got two other things I need to bring up.
All right.
The second one is obviously I was on the IL until Wednesday, but I've been putting my picks in tally site. Absolutely flying, really nice. I was sitting top of the list. I was smelling myself a little bit. I came back on the show on Tuesday with you, and I think I went about 5 and 10. It was absolutely shocking. I then came on. There was that 6-game slate on Thursday. So me and Dylan then handicapped that on Wednesday, and I think I went 0 for 6. And it was a really chalky slate as well. So these are the games last night. So we took the Rays to beat the Mets. The Mets won. We took the Dodgers. We faded Wainwright. The Cardinals put up 16 runs. We faded the Orioles, and they won. We faded, you name it. Dylan Cease and the White Sox, we bet them. He got beat. So I think they're 0 for 6. So the picks have made an absolute fool of me. Ever since I said in my mind, "Oh, you're doing well this week, son." Absolute shambles.
I wasn't on the show yesterday. I did my college baseball show. I went 17-4 on that. So absolutely rolling in college baseball right now.
That's the way to do it. And the third thing to talk about, because we haven't really touched on this since last week, is our fantasy matchup.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I've been waiting on this one.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've got some stats pulled up about this matchup here.
All right. Oh, you were prepared for this, were you?
Yeah, I have.
So as it stands, going into Friday's night games, I am winning in 2 categories. You were winning in 6 categories, and we are level in 2. But it's as tight as snakes in a couple. I've already pinpointed the categories I can beat you with. Stolen bases were level, so I can nick that one. Batting average is 230 versus 222. So that's just one hit. I mean, one hit and I'm back in front. I can catch you up in whip and one more win. We're level on wins as well. So, yeah, you are in the lead, Noah, but I'm not out of this by a long chalk. So what stats do you want to hit me with?
Yeah, so you mentioned just the tip of the iceberg, where the stats currently stand as we sit. Let me just tell you, this guy has Aaron Judge and Mike Trout on his fantasy baseball team. He picked first overall, and Trout comes all the way through the snake back to him. And the 19th pick or whatever. That's all I do. Yeah. Oh my God. Trout and Judge are combined 11 for 30 this week, 366 average. They have 6 home runs, 10 runs, 10 RBIs, and a stolen bag, but yet he's losing 6-2. So.
Yeah, it's the pitching's been, my ERA is sitting at 6.59. Out of terrible Monday, and I've struggled to catch up ever since Freddie Peralta and Pablo Lopez, I think it was, Will got shelled on Monday. But yeah, if I can,
Insano said in the chat.
What's he saying? the reign of terror. Yeah.
No. He said they're both going to be hurt in a week.
Nah, no chance. No chance. Yeah, Captain Insano is living in fear of my fantasy team. TVDBJ has joined us as well. So good evening to you. You've got Marcus Stroman going tonight, don't you? I have nobody on the hill tonight. You lost Dustin May for your second start as well, which I thought might
you
might
lost Machado for the week though on day 1 though, so
yeah,
goes hand in hand.
Swings and roundabouts. So yeah, there you go. That's the news and notes caught up on. We'll get to our picks presently. I'll tell you first about Edge Boost. SGPN is excited to announce an exclusive early access partnership with Edge Boost the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Similar to buy now, pay later programs like Affirm and Afterpay, Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest and pay back the advance over 4 equal weekly installments. That's right, 0% interest. Simply deposit the funds into your account. Edge Boost will match the deposit so you can use double the funds on any legal sports betting site. Edge currently offers up to $2,500 in advances as you build your repayment history. And if you go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 or older, only valid in legal gambling states. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, I'll lead us off then with the first game. I'm not going in any particular order this evening. I started with a 3:07 first pitch between the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. Grayson Rodriguez and Alek Manoah are the pitchers. -130 on the O's, -154 on the Blue Jays. Total set at 9.5. I mean, there was parts of this I've been labouring the point a little bit about the Baltimore starting pitching and how it's kind of fading. Rodriguez is a really good example of this. Actually, Tyler Wells did get I backed Tyler Wells last night. I've faded the Baltimore pitching all week. I've told anyone who listened. Took Tyler Wells last night and he got turned over. I said he was the most reliable of the Baltimore pitchers, and he got turned over. Yes, but Grayson Rodriguez is the epitome of the inconsistency here. He started 8 games. He's had 2 good, 2 average, 2 bad, and 2 awful. He's pitched 5 2/3 innings only once, 5 innings only 4 times. So you're not getting any length out of him at all. His whip is 173, which is a huge indicator. And the opposition he's faced as well, Detroit twice, Oakland, Kansas, and White Sox make up 5 of the 8 games he's started. He throws it hard, but then the opposition hit it hard as well. It's in the 4th percentile of hard hit balls. His expected ERA and expected WOBA are in the 16th percentile. So he's right down there amongst the bottom feeders. Quite alarming numbers. Baltimore's pen used 6 arms on Thursday night as well. So I reckon they could be a bit tired, depending on what happens in the Friday night games. Kyle Gibson goes tonight. And I've been fading him all year, so I think that's going to be more bullpen usage there. Alek Manoah is struggling. He's not had an easy run of opposition, but every game has been kind of similar. He's got a 180 whip as well, which tells the tale. Gave up 7 walks, 2 homers last time out against the Yankees. I think the hope you've got with Manoah is that we have seen it once this year, 22nd of April, 7 scoreless against the Yankees. So he shows that he's still, once you've shown that skill, you do kind of own it. And we're not very far away from that. He's got a 3-1 record with a 2.87 ERA in 8 games started against the Orioles. Toronto being great at home. And I think crucially as well, although he's not going to say any different, Alek Manoah himself believes that he's not far away. So I did expect the prices to be a little bit closer together here. I found a -154, so I'm happy giving out the 1.5 play on the Blue Jays. If you want to go on the over, the comment section, of which Jake is now a member. Good evening, Jake Brubaker. Are all on the overs, the captain and TVDBJ telling us about the over. So I wouldn't dissuade you from that at all. But I like the Blue Jays in this spot for various reasons. No?
Yeah, just a look behind the curtain on this game. We text each other, or you text when you're handicapping these games in the morning. For you, I'm still asleep. And you're like, hey, I just did these 3 games, and then we try not to double up. Well, I almost literally handicapped this game thinking that I was gonna take the over, and I realized, oh shit, you do have this game. I like the over. It's Alek Manoah and Grayson Rodriguez right now. Both of them are easy fades on pitchers, and both offenses have been pretty dang good so far this year. So I like the over with the chat.
Tell us about your first pick, Noah.
So I'm taking you to my Pittsburgh Pirates. They're hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks, and this pitching matchup is between Brandon Pfaadt and Mitch Keller. I think both these pitchers are just on different planets right now. Pfaadt currently has an 8.59 ERA, giving up 7 home runs in 3 starts. He's been getting hit really hard since he was called up to the MLB. 22nd percentile in average exit velocity, and 7th percentile in hard hit percentage against him. Mitch Keller, on the other hand, is 5-1 on the year with a 2.38 ERA, and he looks to be breaking out this year. The D-backs, they have the better offense than the Pirates in this matchup, but I think the Buccos have the clear advantage on the mound. At a -120 price, I think the money line is something to really love here, and especially if you can get like a first 5 money line somewhere similar to that -120, I love that even more.
Yeah, Fard came up and amid much fanfare, and we haven't really seen it. I don't know how much run he's going to get, but yeah, Mitch Keller's been great, really, really good. Pittsburgh kind of steadied the ship a little bit after that. Did they go on an 8-game skid, I think, recently? But they've steadied the ship a little bit.
11 of 13.
Yeah, picked up a couple of wins. So, yeah, it does look like a good spot for them. Next up for me is 4:05 Eastern, Colorado Rockies at the Texas Rangers. Left-handed pitcher Kyle Freeland for the Rockies, and John Gray goes for Texas. Plus 160 on Colorado, -188 on Texas. Total set at 8.5. And for me, this game hinged around Kyle Freeland's recent form.
Yeah.
He's 4-4 on the year, 3.16 ERA. But recently, and I think we talked about him on the show last week, been one of the hottest pitchers in baseball, a 2.70 ERA in his last 5 starts. However, crucially, and kind of counterintuitively, it's been his home starts that have been great. When normally you get that different split with the Rockies pitchers. He threw 2 scoreless starts against the Phillies and the Brewers. His 2 road starts have been okay, but he has given up 4 home runs and 4 walks in those. So I do think Texas can get to him. Texas are hitting 280 against left-handed pitching. John Gray has been great. His last 2 starts, 15 innings pitched, only giving up 1 earned run. However, kind of opposite to how Freeland's been going, Gray's best starts have been on the road. His 3 home starts, he's got a double ERA. His ERA is like 4.67, something like that, away from Texas. So I think we can see some runs early here. All the factors point to it. So I would take a first 5 over. The total's at 8.5. So what would that first 5 be? 4.5 possibly? Noah, you think?
Yeah, I would assume that it's probably going to be somewhere around 4.5.
Yeah, so I think we can see some runs here, and I'll be taking the over in the first 5 in this one.
The full game over is just as good. Both bullpens are terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I totally agree with you there. And my next game here is Cleveland at the New York Mets. This is one of my favorite pitching matchups of the day. I'm going to take the under 8 here. Tanner Bybee, he's looked great in his first 4 starts in the MLB with a 3.22 ERA, 22 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 22.1 innings pitched. Then on the other bump is Max Scherzer. After his first start from suspension, it was rough, but he bounced back against the Nationals last week. He only gave up 1 run on 2 hits through 5 innings pitched. They're stretching him out, so he's going to go a little bit deeper than that in this start. I believe that Scherzer wasn't even cheating in the first place. He consistently said that he was using sweat and rosin, and it's not a Domingo Germán situation where he had dog shit on his hand and some of the residue was like showing on his pants. Like, I really question whether Scherzer was even using a foreign substance. I know that the Mets are heating up somewhat, but they've still been an average offense in the MLB, a 712 OPS. That's good for 14th over the last month. And Cleveland has the league worst 617 OPS against right-handed pitching, a 69 WRC plus in that same time span. So I know they're without Jose Ramirez right now too. He's on the bereavement list. His grandmother passed away. So if he comes back, that might change my mind a little bit. But I mean, he's basically 75% of their offense. I love this under 8 at -105 on DraftKings currently.
The Mets have won every game since Dylan went fucking nuts on Tuesday's podcast. It was the most animated I've ever seen Dylan. He always sits there like a sad robot, but he went absolutely berserk. And it was really funny, and I enjoyed it a lot. And the Mets have taken it to heart, and Dylan could be the one-man catalyst for the New York Mets winning the World Series. He'll be front and center on that open top bus parade.
Yeah, he gave me plenty of sound bites for me to just clip, and then whenever they
Yeah.
win and they go off in the postseason, he'll just be cussing out at the Mets and how Steve Cohen spent all the money and they aren't playing with any passion, and they're laughing when they're losing game 44 of the season in a 162 game season. So
yeah, we commented when after his rant, we said, this is getting clipped and you're going viral on round about the 17th of October. Dylan's going to go off, but yeah, that made me laugh.
It won't be 17th of October. I'll use it in September. I'll use it in October. Like whenever
it's going all the way through.
Yeah, whenever they beat the Braves, I'll just post that. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
My final pick here comes from a 4:05 Eastern first pitch between the Chicago Cubs and the Philadelphia Phillies. Jameson Taillon for the Cubbies, and Philadelphia will roll out Aaron Nola plus 140 on the Cubs, minus 170 on the Phillies. Total set at 8.5. Jameson Taillon is in a world of pain at the minute. He's got one good start out of 6. 0-2 record with a 6.66 ERA, the number of the beast. That doesn't bode well. His last 3 have been absolutely terrible. He's only made it out the 3rd inning once. The Cubs themselves are on a right old slide. They've won 5 of their last 21 games, the Cubbies. After a hot start, I was kind of panicking about the Cubs. I thought I'd got them really wrong when we did our pre-season show. Because I had them on the under, and I think we commented. I was, well, that's a little bit embarrassing. And actually, they're sort of heading back in the direction.
Yeah,
I thought they were. Aaron Nola's looked a lot more like his old self recently. 3.67 ERA in his last 5. He's had some tough assignments as well. He's been in Colorado, and then has had Toronto, the Dodgers, and the Astros. So yeah, he's getting really good length as well. He's got 6, 7, 8 innings. He has given up 1 home run in each of his last 5 starts, so someone might hit him dinger. Philly are on a 4-game skid, but they've been much, much better at home, so this is a good spot for them. And my pick here is a big old fade of Taillon. Philly on the run line is a price of plus 125 now.
Seems like a perfect Malcolm play. Screw the Cubs because they screwed you over last year. And
yeah. Revenge game. It's a revenge season for me.
Yeah, there you go. Do you want to hit an ad before my last game, or do you want me to go through it?
No, go on. We'll break it up. We'll break the halves up with those in a bit.
Cool. So my last game that I'm going to do for Saturday here is the Boston Red Sox at the San Diego Padres. I called the last matchup one of my favorite pitching matchups, whereas like if you're talking career long, I think this is the best pitching matchup of the day. Chris Sale against Joe Musgrove. Sale was stellar in his last start against the Cardinals with 9 strikeouts, only 1 run allowed via solo home run, which was one of 3 hits he gave up in that game. But I do see the Padres having a little bit of success against him. They have a career, like their active roster is hitting 304 against him and over 90 plate appearances. And this team also has the 5th best OPS against left-handed pitching over the last 30 days in the MLB with an 824. Also, a 130 WRC plus is good for the 4th best offense against southpaws as well. I can also see the Red Sox offense putting up some runs against Musgrove, who's only 1-1 with a 6.63 ERA and 4 starts off the IL this season. Boston's offense, they've been the 2nd best lineup against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days with an 838 OPS and a 124 WRC plus. This total is set at 7.5 because I think both of these pitchers' names carry a lot of weight. But the overs are hitting in 69% of Boston's games right now, 29, 13, and 2. And I don't see a way to waver from that here. I'm going with the over 7.5 in the Red Sox Padres game.
Over, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the lowest totals that you'll see on the Red Sox all season. They have been machines. Captain Sane was mentioning the Sale revival. I'm really pleased to see. I think I was in on him. I tipped him up for some Cy Young and all sorts at the start of the season. Panicked. I actually think I've jettisoned him in a couple of fantasy leagues, which was ever so slightly. Did I?
One. Yeah.
Did I? Oh, what a dick. Yeah, I need to have the courage of my convictions because he's coming good. Just for reference, now we've got 17 minutes until the Black Eyed Susan steak starts, which I gave my picks out with yesterday. So that's the finishing line for this show because I want to watch that race.
Is that the horse races before the Preakness?
Yeah, it's tomorrow is the Preakness, which is for the boys.
Yep.
The Black-Eyed Susan today is a similar race, but for the girls, for the fillies. Cool. There you go. Shady Rays teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. And not only do you get an amazing 50% off, but you have a chance to win $500. Shady Rays got you covered from the sun to the slopes, the premium polarized shades, durable frames, and offer the most insane protection. Shady Rays will replace any lost or broken glasses, even on day one, no questions asked. Or if you don't love them, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. So the team at Shady Rays has your back. For our international listeners, Shady Rays have got you covered as well, with shipping to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Go to shadyrays.com, use the code SGPN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Then take your receipt to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win the $500 Shady May contest. Okay, what we thought we'd do over the next few weeks, especially on the old Friday night shows, is sort of revisit the futures, revisit some divisions, see where we stand and if there are any standout picks. So tonight we're going to have a little look at the AL West. Texas lead. Texas have a 2-game lead over Houston. The Angels are 2 games further back. Seattle are 1 game further back. And Oakland, we need not talk about. If Oakland aren't going to bother taking it seriously, then we're not going to bother talking about them.
They are. So I wanted to mention this. They were plus 100,000 on MGM to win this division. And Fangraphs has them projected to win 59 games.
So for the division, Houston remain odds-on favourite. They are 4-5, minus 125. The Texas Rangers are plus 220. The LA Angels are plus 650. And Seattle are plus 700. So pick a team, pick a starting point. Where do you want to go, Noah?
Do you want? So I have analysis on 2 teams that I somewhat have prepared. 1 negative and 1 positive. What do you want to hear first?
Okay, you give me a positive, and then I'll jump in.
All right. So obviously we're not probably going to tip up a -1. What'd you say the Astros price was?
Minus 125, Houston.
So I saw it in America. The -140 was the best price. What book did you get that?
Bet 365.
Okay, yeah. So -140 was the best price I saw here. But I mean, if you're playing on international books, that's completely fair game too. But yeah, obviously we're not going to tip up that as the team that we want to talk about most here on the pod. So I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers. They have the 5th best OPS in the league with a 780, a 115 team WRC plus, a 266 batting average as a team. They're by far the best offense in this division right now, with a good, experienced rotation of Evaldi, Heaney, Martin Perez, John Gray, and then Jacob deGrom will be back off the IL. Unlike Robbie Ray for Seattle, he's due back here sometime soon. The Rangers, they need bullpen help. They have the 25th bullpen ERA in the MLB, but relievers are the easiest thing to acquire at the trade deadline. So if they are pushing to win now, which, I mean, when you sign Seager and you sign Semien to accelerate the rebuild, they might want to get in there for all these young position players to experience the taste of postseason. A reliever is the easiest thing to acquire at the deadline. Like always, I'm worried about the health of this team. I was all over them early on in the preseason. I was just saying, hey, the reason why I don't bet a ton of futures is a 162 game season. Injuries do happen. And like I previously mentioned, deGrom just got hurt, but I'm not going to put money on it, but I think they have the best chance to turn over Houston for the top spot in the AL West.
Yeah, you're right. I think Texas, especially if I'm kind of fading Houston. Who was your fade, Noah, just before?
So I'm Texas, by the way, plus 300 at BetMGM currently. They're 26-17, leading the division right now. The team that I'm fading is a team that I think you might be backing. I'm fading Seattle. They're 21-22 right now, plus 700 to win the division. I can totally concede the idea that that price is much better than what it looked like in the preseason. But I'm still not too interested in this Seattle team.
Texas haven't done an awful lot wrong at all, really. Second in runs and ribbies, fourth in batting average. The starting pitching is holding up without Jacob deGrom. Dane Dunning's been a massive plus. I think we could do with Andrew Heaney taking a step forward, the bullpen's fine. And as much as we don't do much manager talk on here, and we can occasionally question just how much effect the manager's having, Bruce Bochy is a huge plus in that Texas dugout. Absolutely huge plus holding it together. Houston, you just can't take at that price because I don't know where the improvement is. Because they're not doing it right. Yeah, go on.
The improvement is they're getting Jose Altuve and Michael Brantley off the IL, and they're getting Jose Urquidy off the IL at All-Star break, but they're without Luis Garcia for the year. So those three guys you can look forward to coming back. But go ahead.
There's not enough power in there. They're 25th in MLB in home runs. Abreu could move the needle for them, but he's so far out of sorts at the minute. It's quite sad watching him crack on at the minute. Did you see
Blake Myers' tweet?
No,
like yesterday or something.
No,
I think it was yesterday. So Christopher Morel, the call up for the Cubs here, he has 5 home runs in like his first 10 games. Abreu has like 5 home runs in his last 157. Like it's something crazy. Like 157 days or something like that. Like going back to sometime last season and the beginning of this season, Abreu's only got 5 home runs.
Yeah, the pitching's okay. I think they're first in ERA, actually, team ERA, top 10 in most categories. So, yeah, I think they'll be okay for the playoffs. And they might just win the division. I just don't want to back them at this price. I don't want to back them at minus 125, certainly not minus 140, like you're saying. The Angels have done really nothing for me one way or the other. They're being very, very Angels about everything. However, I put them up at the start of the season. I've got them at 11-1. So I wouldn't be going back in now at plus 650. They've got enough green numbers when you look around their metrics to stay in the conversation. But it's all, everything's like ranked 10, 11, 12. It's all just at that level beneath the top teams. They're kind of like a 1B team again. So playoff contenders. But and at the back end of this pitching as well, Reed Detmer's 4.89 ERA, Tyler Anderson 5.27 ERA, Griffin Cannon 6.14 ERA. And that's not going to do it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The starting pitching is just a little bit lackluster right now. The one thing that I think they could do here, we saw it happen with Zach Neto, a young kid from AA. They called him up extremely fast. I think they could do the same thing with the volunteer firemen in their farm system right now. His name's Ben Joyce, chucking triple digits routinely. Did it in college, was pretty much unhittable. I think hitters only had a 102 batting average against him. He didn't really struggle with the walks. He had plenty of strikeouts, few walks. So I think that's a guy in the back end of that bullpen that could help them out here. Because when you have a guy chucking triple digits, what's the point in keeping him down there when injury is the biggest concern? And it's not the speed and it's not his control. It really is like use him until you lose him type thing in my opinion.
With Seattle, there's a few things that turn me on to them, really, because they would be my pick. If you gave me $50 now and said pick one of those teams, my money would go on Seattle. Firstly, the 5 games back, it's nothing. That could be gone by next Wednesday. So the standings are largely irrelevant at this point.
They're 5 games back of the Rangers. I mean, they're only 3 games back of the Astros. The Rangers are 26-17. The Astros are 24-19. Seattle they have 21 wins, so they have 3 less wins than Houston. And ideally, you're probably chasing Houston, not the Rangers.
So we talked about Houston and where's the improvement going to come from. There's a couple of things that did need to turn around. Firstly, just in the standings there, they're 2-5 in extra innings. They're 4-11 in one-run games. Now, some people say that's a symptom of a bad team. I'd disagree, really. I mean, even with kind of average luck, you change that to 7-8, and they're 2 games out of first place. So they can change that around. And then individually, Julio Rodriguez is absolutely key. He was stellar last year. He's hitting 211 at the moment. Has dropped to 3 in the batting order. They've had the breakout from Kelenic. They just need to get Rodriguez going. Eugenio Suarez isn't batting great, and Teoscar as well. If they can get those three going, or a couple of them, they'll be back. Because the starting pitch metrics are all like top 8 across the board. The rest feeds me absolutely fine. So I just think Seattle at the minute have quite a lot of upside, and you can see where it's going to come from. Flip those one-run games around, get Rodriguez and a couple of the other bats going, and Bosch, that's 6-1. I think it's a great price.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned prior to us talking about this, I can acknowledge that there's plenty of value now compared to where they were in the preseason. And you can only go up from the basement, which is where they're at. They're 28th in the MLB and team OPS at 686. They're hitting for 220 average, which is 29th. And there's no excuses for this offense for the most part because they've been healthy. Like they literally have not really lost anybody throughout the season. Jared Kelenic, Cal Raleigh, Ty France, JP Crawford, all 4 of those guys have been doing better than the league average, over 100 WRC plus. J-Rod, Teoscar, and like you mentioned, Eugenio is kind of balancing that line of league average. But J-Rod and Teoscar especially, they're slacking behind. But seriously, like those 2 bats we're counting on, they should bounce back here. It's a long season. Like we're saying, they're like 46 games in. They're 21 and 22, so they're 43 games in. And I think that the first 4 guys that I mentioned in Kelenic, Raleigh, France, and Crawford are all overachieving expectations. And when you're counting on those 2 bats to get there, are these guys going to fall back to league average and what we expected to? Because like in the preseason pod, we acknowledged that their lineup 1 through 5 competes with anybody in the league. They don't have it 6 through 9. They really don't, in my opinion. Like you got a breakout season from Kelenic, which sure maybe you go 1 through 6 now if you include a struggling Teoscar, J-Rod, and Eugenio, all below 100 WRC plus. But are we expecting JP Crawford to be a 111 throughout the season? Like I get it. You can only go up from the basement, but I just don't see them getting exponentially better on the offensive side of the ball. And I struggle believing in the pitching staff that with a ton of youth. And they're really like 2 of their better bullpens are on the IL right now. Bullpen arms are on the IL right now. And Penn Murphy with elbow issue and Andres Munoz with a shoulder issue. They're both on the shelf. It's like, it's tough for me to really back the Mariners, and I'm in the same spot. Just kind of like, I feel like the whole world is on this Mariners team.
Fair enough. Again, I'm just looking at my starting point was you give me $50. Where am I going to put it? And I don't want to back a -125 shot. I think the bird has flown with Texas. If you wanted Texas, you've backed them earlier in the season, so you wouldn't be going back in now at +220. I'm not interested in the Angels, or kind of by a process of elimination. I got on the Mariners, and like I say, it's fine margins. Those 1-run games, those extra inning games, they could be in a whole different position. So
yeah, on Fangraphs, Seattle's only projected to go 81 and 81 with a 7% chance of winning this division. So I'm just not sold on the M's. Houston, they have a 50% chance of winning the division. Only expected to go 89 and 73. Texas 87 and 75 with a 34% chance of winning. The Angels actually have a higher percent chance of winning than the Mariners at 8% compared to 7.
Well, there you go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is your perfect 40-minute Friday night show, which is exactly what we were after. We can go and watch
it's the 17-minute mark for you too. I literally did the math when you said that. It's 5:41 right now.
Oh, is it
exactly what you wanted to end it on?
All right, well, let's say bye. We've got 2 minutes 26 to post time. Don't panic. Anything else you need to tell us about happening over the weekend, Noah?
Yeah, I'm going to take more of a back seat on this pod as the college baseball postseason's heating up here. I did it last year as well. You'll be hearing more Malcolm, Dylan, Munaf when he's back next week. And I'll be taking more of a backseat to those 3 for as far as I can see moving forward. So, and maybe more of Scott. Scott's been doing great. and he does a great job behind the scenes producing the podcast for us. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't just include him more in the rotation. So, yeah, I'll be taking it a step back, Mel.
Well, I'll still be pestering you half to death and making your life a misery whenever I get the chance. So don't think you get shot.
I look forward to it. We share a TGFBI team, so
of course, yeah. I need to stop you filling it up with Kansas City rolled pictures. That's what I need to do, because every time I turn my back, you sneaked Brady another one in there.
Speaking of, Brady Singer has the Tigers and the Guardians this week.
Did we drop him?
If he doesn't do well, I think we have to drop him. Unless you pulled the trigger on him last week without me knowing.
I don't think so. Like I say, every time I load that team up, there's another Royals pitcher in there.
He's got a 2-start week against 2 of the worst offenses in the league. I think you have to start him. And if he doesn't do well, you just cut ties and let him go.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I've got a stress-free weekend not having to watch Newcastle this weekend because we played last night, so we don't play again on Monday. But there is a Newcastle Nighthawks game on Sunday, so I might just go and see if they need me out the bullpen. Might come on and, bases loaded, couple of outs, bottom of the ninth, just wing some of those 47-mile-an-hour curbs in there. We're playing Newcastle University this week, so if the weather stays nice, that will be fun. Okay, 25 minutes to post in this race. Thanks, everyone. Like, rate, review. Cheers, all the boys and girls who were in the chat. Good luck with all your picks. Busy weekend of gambling, as always. We'll be back, I reckon, on Sunday night. Until then, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.